It's like Monopoly. You can collect all the stuff on the Monopoly board, and same with this life in the flesh as this ego. You can get a house, get money, get a girlfriend, have kids, get dogs, get loads of fucking supplements, do yoga, self-actualize, build a business, and all of that is all good, but like, you will always, in a sense, with this scarcity mindset, you will fear losing what you've cultivated. That's funny. I don't know why that's happening. But it's like, you can succeed, you know, you can cultivate everything you ever wanted, and then you could just get bombed or something, you know, or like there could be a war and you'll lose it, or you'll age. So it's literally like you are literally already where you need to be, because everything comes and goes with time, and even if you do succeed and get health and everything, obviously that's all worth doing. It's not an excuse to not do those things and to not self-actualize, because what else is there to do? And, you know, you can minimize suffering and stuff while you're at it. But it's just recognizing the truth of impermanence. Like, yes, you may be able to make things easier for yourself by not eating like polluted food, etc., and having making the body more in sync with the Tao, or whatever the fuck they call it. But at the end of the day, we have to recognize that everything is going back where it came from, and unity divides and then comes back together, and we're just going around in circles like the planets. So the universe is going around in circles, and you are the universe, just like when you look up at nighttime at the planets in the sky. So I'm still all for self-actualization, of course, but it's almost like liberation is always in the present moment, and I know that can seem stupid to a lot of personal development people, the grounded Westerners and things, and these self-help teachers, but it's, you know, it's like Hamza, striving to be stronger, striving to be healthier, striving for more money, collecting more knowledge, winning friends, creating a business. Alright, that's all good, but when you do that on the Monopoly board, it all has to go back in the box at the end of the day, and that's where this is all going. It's going back in the box. So does it really fucking matter if everything is going back in the box? And that's what I thought before. Like, there's been times, whether in a psychedelic peak or not, even when I'm sober, where I feel like I've had it. I can if I could do it now in this moment, I can reflect on my past, and I can go, I've had it. Like I could happily die now, and I always could. I actually don't really give a like. I don't want to die because I'm having fun half the time, but it's like I've already had multiple happy endings through self-realization, etc. Like I can like have a psychedelic breakthrough and realize, like, I don't know, from like meta perspective, from like a zoomed out big picture perspective, I can look at the story and everything that's happened, and I could go like, I'm happy with dying now, I don't care. But then I don't die. So like, I think I heard Alan Watts reference someone saying the only real philosophical question is, should you kill yourself or not? And notice when you, like, if you're struggling and you're suffering and going through the trials and tribulations, why do you choose not to kill yourself? Like, why are you still alive now? Why haven't you decided to end the game? And just contemplate that. You're choosing to continue to exist. So no matter how much of a shit time you believe you're having, you still rather remain here, also it seems. That's what you choose. And I do. Like now, like if I could kill myself now, I wouldn't. Why? One, because there's no point, and two, it depends what state I'm in. Like, well, Michael, I was just on here with Mr. Nature. I'm just talking about the only real philosophical question is, should you kill yourself? And I was just saying that basically, you know, Monopoly, like you go around the Monopoly board, you collect all the stuff, you collect all the property, you make a conscious rapper community, you make a business, you earn loads of money, you get a girlfriend. Obviously you don't do that on the Monopoly board, but it's kind of an abstraction of real life. At the end of the game, everything goes back in the box. So it's like, what good is like gripping onto anything if everything just is always how it is and everything is always just going through the inevitable motions? It's like liberation is always here if you can see it. I'm not saying that personal development doesn't have a use. Of course, you can make your time here easier through being wise about what you choose to consume and the thoughts that you have, etc. But can we recognize that everything is ultimately impermanent, and like it's almost like letting go of everything is the highest teaching. Because you can accumulate everything you ever wanted, and then you can lose it. It doesn't mean it's not worth trying to accumulate, because you might have an easier time and you could relieve the suffering of yourself and others, if others exist. And the reason I say that is because when you dream at nighttime, you can obviously dream loads of beings, but they are all ultimately happening inside your mind. How do we not know that that is in the case now? Not saying it is. I don't have a set, solid opinion 100%, but that's known as solipsism. And it's that kind of shit that made my mate kill himself when he was on mushrooms. I don't know why I laugh, it's not funny. I mean, he would laugh about it, he doesn't give a fuck, he's just a ruthless geezer. Death while living is the goal, that's right. To die before you die. But yeah, it's just absolute truth. You can recognize absolute truths all the time. It doesn't really matter where you are. Like, if you really take a step back for a moment and just realize that, like, the truth is the universe is awake forever. Like, the other night I dreamed that there's actually not much of a solid distinction now for me between dreaming and normal consciousness. Recently I found lucid dreaming to be the funniest. Like, you're in this waking reality, supposedly, and you're watching a YouTube video about scientists. Is lucid dreaming real? Who knows? How to lucid dream tutorial on YouTube, right? But you're assuming that you're not dreaming. You're assuming that you're awake. And that when you go to sleep at night, you can try and lucid dream. And obviously you can do that in like a relative plane, but like, who's to say that you can't become lucid now? And you can. And I have. Mainly through psychedelics. There are other ways, but this is what I call God realization, is realizing that everything is consciousness. And really, I feel like this is kind of like the pinnacle of my, thank you for the follow, liner. I feel like this is like kind of like my gift in a way. Like, all the personal development and stuff I talk about, that's all like on the periphery. But like the absolute truths of infinite consciousness and God and things, I feel like I've hit the nail. I know that I've hit the nail on the head. Not every nuance, but there's no difference between awake and dream. It's all just consciousness. It's all just form. It's all vibration, colors, sounds, and sense perception. And you trick yourself into identifying with part of the sense perception, which is this ego. Therefore, you can play any role in any movie, in any video game. But it's all ultimately just consciousness and sense perception. So, like, if I can supposedly go to sleep at nighttime, right, and then I have like a full-blown experience of being in prison. Obviously, the consciousness is a bit different. It's you know, it's not like actually like full awake. Like dream states are more slippy and things of that nature. But like the other night, I dreamt that I was in jail, and I was in jail because I filmed the UFO and I uploaded it to YouTube and shit. What are you saying, Alfie? Good, bro? Just chatting about God consciousness and that, you know. Mr. Nature was on here as well a second ago, on the live. And then I wake up from that state and I'm like, I'm fully conscious that I was just in prison. And then I just woke up in my bedroom. And the truth is, there's no difference between anything, really, and this is non-duality. So you, like, I know that it really does seem like there is a self, like a small self, which is this ego. Like, who am I? Well, I'm me, of course. I'm me. I'm Baron. I'm Oxen. That's who I am. And then you have but all of this is just mental imagery. Who am I? I'm Baron. No, that's a thought. That's a mental image of who I think I am. Well, who am I really? And you'll notice that any answer to who you are is conceptual. So you're literally not there in the way that you thought you were, but you can know the self in experience outside of thought, and the true self is everything. Because you can take on any incarnation you want. Why are you you, and why are you not somebody else? Because you have, well, supposedly what you would answer to that is because you have the distinction between voluntary and involuntary. Where do your decisions come from? Do you decide to decide? Who is pulling the ropes, really? In a radical state of God consciousness, I turned on my flashlight with my voluntary hand as this self. I turned on the flashlight, and then my true self turned the flashlight off, and I didn't touch it with my physical body. And I knew that I was doing it in a very strange way. It takes a long time to grasp it, but it's like, you are doing everything, but you're not conscious of how you're doing it. So think of everyone who hurt you in the past, all your traumas, your ex-girlfriends, etc. Bring those to mind. You dreamt that whole thing, and you are who hurt you. Everything is a figment of your imagination, and this is absolute truth. So, for example, like, I had somebody cut me off a while ago, an old friend who was like a girlfriend kind of at the time, on and off. Cut me off, blocked me, no explanation. And then I had a fucking breakdown, and I was like traumatized, and I never got over it really for like 3 years. It's still like, I still didn't really get over it in a sense. It's weird. But basically, the truth is, when you recognize that all is sense perception, and I know it does seem that you are this finite ego self, this ego inside a bag of skin, but the truth is, if you really pay attention, everything is just one. So basically, yeah, the self is the small self is a projection. Everything is the self. So any sense perception, any experience, any consciousness, any awareness, any color, any sound, any taste, any smell, that is you, all of it. The whole thing is you. And I know that is the truth because I recognize it directly now. So it started first where I would project, like I could look at something out. Like, you know how you look in the mirror and think, yeah, that's me. which, by the way, I don't anymore. I look in the mirror and say, who the fuck is that? Like a stranger looking back at me. Like I'm formless, so that all this is just like not me. But at the same time, it is me. What was I saying? I don't know. Oh yeah, for sure. It's all for reason. It's coming to the time now. We are the creator. But do you understand? If you were are you open to the possibility that you are dreaming? Regardless of if I say it's true or not. It might not feel exactly like a dream at nighttime, but maybe it's basically the same as a dream, but the consciousness is different in some facets, right? Would you understand it if you could fully realize that you were dreaming? That would be just like a lucid dream. And what happens when you lucid dream? You can influence the dream. And this is what happens in radical states of consciousness. So if you can raise your frequency, vibration, and consciousness to the point where you become lucid within the dream, you can tap into the infinite will of God. Because the truth is, you are the substance of everything, and all of this is one mind. Regardless if you're sleeping or if you're on drugs. Because people, it's just chemicals in the brain causing hallucinations. Neurotransmitters is a better term than drugs, because drugs is quite a deceptive blanket term. Even from a physical perspective, you put something into the physical body and it changes the brain chemistry, therefore it changes the perception of the world. So you can say it's just drugs causing hallucinations, but even from a materialist paradigm, like if I just removed a chunk of my brain and that radically altered my perception, who's to say that my direct subjective experience is still the same? And like when you get so far out, like the idea, like if you take enough psychedelics, you will forget that you ever took psychedelics, and the idea that you took psychedelics will be seen nothing more than an idea. I took psychedelics. No, that's a thought. I did take psychedelics, but the subjective experience is still the case. Like when you dream at nighttime, it's like you're just sorting through memories as you sleep. Your brain the subconscious is working through and sorting memories. It's like that's an explanation using language to rationalize and demystify reality. Science seeks to demystify. It seeks to what's the word? Reduce, in a sense. Reductionist materialism, kind of, where it's like just by putting labels on everything doesn't tell me fuck all about what anything actually is. Like this. When I was going through my psychedelic insanity, like Maria, I think you're in the chat now, like Josh, like what happened to Josh essentially. When I was going, and this is when Josh was still in this realm, I was going through the same thing as Josh, like in a fucking schizophrenic episode, kind of. And I was telling people around me, I would like literally tell my family that this is pure magic. Now I understand that's not actually the case, because that's a word. Pure magic is a conception that I'm putting onto this. But what my father and people would tell me, go, that's not magic. That's MDF with a picture, and they tell me the label of what society has deemed this material, and they would say, no, it's not magic. It's and then they would explain it away, like, what is reality? And then science will say reality is atoms and quarks and electrons and protons and energy, and it's this billiard board of bouncing blind energy. It's like, no, that's a conception of what reality is using language. So Alan Watts says, is reality, he says, reality is not spiritual, that's just an idea. Reality is not material, that's also an idea. Reality is... That's what reality is. And this is why I can't get a job. I mean, I can, but I want to get hired and my boss will. Why should I hire you judging by your social media? Well, I'd rather express my authentic self rather than just like being a slave to who you want me to be, because smoke weed. Yes, I want to smoke weed. But you see, at the same time, like, I don't know, how the fuck is it? Science avoids using these spiritual words. And so much deception. Yeah. But, so the truth of no self, smoke a spliff now. I want to. I don't have any. See, that would probably take me out of my mania, because I'm like manic when I don't smoke weed, so thanks for the advice. But yeah, basically the truth is, if you become directly conscious, you can become... I became I'll email you some. So I became, on a psychedelic trip, a air cleaner extractor, a white fucking box thing, like, and I was that, and that's samadhi. But like, it's not like I actually dreamt that I was that and only that. But the truth is, if you get behind the mind, there's no difference where you can just observe an object so heavily that you become the object, and that is you. And you directly understand that in real time. And that's why this stuff can be so difficult for a lot of people, especially going through their transition from asleep to awake. It's like, when you fuck with these boundaries of self and other, it can be spooky. So basically, the whole world is your body. And the idea that you're separate from the world is an idea. Because understand as well that nature is codependence. The trees give us oxygen and fruit, and just as the earth, well, just as a tree apples, the earth peoples. You see? We grew out of this earth, we did not come into this earth. Alfie, fucking... Ah, wait, hold on. I've only got... Oi, you joined at the worst time. I've got... It's gonna end. It's giving me a 20-second timer, because it's been an hour.
Oh, fucking hell.
I can start another one. I'll start another one if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright. 1 second. Everyone go to the new live.
Michael D'Souza made that production.
The power that you're needing is inside of you. They do their best to keep you from seeing that truth. They dread the day you find what they have kept from you. 'Cause in that time, the light will shine on through with the power that you hold in you.
Grab that power that you hold in yourself. It's that time to rebel. It's a human race getting out of the cell, getting out of the spell. When I write my lines, yeah, I know you can tell that I dig down deep to the root of myself. Then I spit that fire, man, that ain't no lie. Then I keep it swell in this mad world, mad place. Everybody screw face, catch on a vibe if you wanna get a new taste. I'm done with the old place. The way that we're living is more than a disgrace.